In case you missed the announcement, yes, this is really happening. The Big Bang Theory is getting a sci-fi multiverse spin-off centered around Stuart, and after watching the trailer a few times, I can tell you it's probably the weirdest sitcom spin-off ever. I haven't watched anybody else's reaction to this because I want my thoughts to be my thoughts and not Reddit's thoughts, so this is going to be a kind of raw reaction with a bit of reflection, but above all it's going to be a discussion. So, get in the comments and let me know your most outrageous theories. There are no stupid questions and there are no wrong answers at this point. Okay, so the very first thing I see is the familiar comic book store, and that's nice, it's comforting, but it also, I think, gives me some false hope as to what this is going to be. But there's something about the layout, the cluttered shelves, just the general vibe. It still feels like that world, even if everything around it has changed. I'm not going to lie though, that's kind of where the similarities end. The lighting feels very cinematic, like it's been pushed away from sitcom brightness and all of the primary colours into something more refined and intentional. If you don't know, the original comic book store in The Big Bang was actually inspired by a real one called House of Secrets in Burbank, which is of course the hometown of Warner Brothers. Anyway, that's not important. There's also an astronaut suit, which is obviously a reference to Howard. Actually, I think we saw it before, after Howard's mom helped set up the comic book store, and so there seems to be a few things, a bit of old memorabilia scattered through the trailer. Things that kind of feel like continuity anchors, let's say. But despite the memorabilia, well, that's just it. It's memorabilia from another era. And so far I'm excited for the show, but I do not think it's going to be an extension of The Big Bang Theory. If you were a fan of The Big Bang Theory like I was, and you missed that kind of cozy, homey feeling that you used to get, well, I think it's safe to say you're definitely not going to get that with this show. And I think we have to be realistic about that. Okay, so the biggest shift is the tone. Everything is darker. I can see that the lighting and the colouring, the general atmosphere is all changed. It's all moved away from sitcom energy into something a bit more sci-fi. To be fair, two of the core writers are Chuck Lorre and Bill Prady from The Big Bang, but they brought in Zach Penn, the sci-fi screenwriter, which tells me this move away from sitcom vibe is very intentional. And this might be a smart move. To be fair, The Big Bang Theory was one of the most successful TV shows of all time, and I think they know they're never going to emulate that, so maybe going in a completely different direction this time is quite a smart move. Yeah, the camera work feels different as well. It feels more handheld, which you would usually do to make the audience feel uneasy and uncertain. The pacing is totally different to any of the other spin-offs of the original show. One thing that I like is that, from what I can see, Kevin Sussman has very convincingly stepped back into that role as Stuart, and that's really nice to see. Obviously, the world is completely different, but Stuart feels largely the same. I don't know about the other characters yet, I've not really seen enough, and I don't want to be unfair, so I'm not going to say anything about that yet. But what I am picking up is that the characters seem to have been taken away from their normal lives and dropped into this sci-fi kind of nightmare. And it's the kind of show I can picture Stuart waking up from at the end and going, oh, it was all a bad dream. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that would be bad writing, but you have to admit it's the kind of thing Stuart or even Denise would dream about. I think if we're taking this seriously, as in if we're taking it as canonical with The Big Bang Theory, then maybe the dream theory isn't so far-fetched. I mean, in The Big Bang, Stuart was the opposite of important, wasn't he? He was neglected and forgotten and made fun of all of the time, as I said in the Stuart video. And this kind of fantasy of him being at the centre of something where only someone with his exact, skill sets and knowledge of comic books can save the day, or at least try to, that really feels like something he would dream up. So maybe it's not so far-fetched. One detail I really liked was Stuart's artwork on the walls in this frame. I assume that's what it is. People forget that Stuart was originally introduced as an artist, but towards the end of The Big Bang Theory, that part of him kind of disappeared and he slowly became the sad, depressed guy at the comic book store. That was his whole identity, really. His talents, I think, were forgotten, so I'm hoping we see a more balanced version of Stuart in this show without him becoming a completely different character. Based on the title, I think we can still expect the same kind of self-deprecation that was, to be fair, so iconically tied to his role before. But my prediction is that part of his character arc in this show is going to be overcoming that and finding some more confidence in himself and also love for himself. To me, the trailer feels like it's trying to give Stuart some of his identity back compared to The Big Bang Theory at the end. And my favourite thing about that is, they've taken a beloved character who was very peripheral and often disregarded in The Big Bang Theory, and they've made him the star of the show, even if he doesn't end up actually saving the universe. Okay, this one might sound a bit insane, but just bear with me here. The giant moth that we see in the trailer, this one, what we know about moths is they are naturally drawn to light, and okay, so this is tangential, but Kaylee Cuoco, who played Penny, actually has a big moth tattoo in real life, and she said it symbolized her journey of healing and moving forward. Could it be that this is some kind of symbol? Probably not, okay. It's just headcanon, and it's just some abstract symbolism that I quite enjoy. But to me, it's kind of a symbol that Stuart's life is finally filled with light, prior to the apocalyptic events. And these moths are attracted to that light because it's Stuart, and he's not allowed that light. The universe won't allow him to be happy. Okay, sorry, I know I'm pushing it now, but the alternate Stuart actually says, if you turn the light off, they don't bother you. So, could it be a metaphor for Stuart turning off his own success and happiness? If you know The Big Bang Theory, this could make some sense. The most normal thing about this very strange trailer is that the universe seems to be coming after Stuart. Because guess what? The universe has always been coming after Stuart, from the very beginning of The Big Bang Theory. Out of everything in the trailer, I think this image is probably the strangest one for me. Kripke in this almost authoritarian dictator position. Why? Why? I guess if Sheldon and co accidentally caused some kind of catastrophe or reality shift, it actually makes sense that people would start looking for someone to blame. And if there's one person who always existed as Sheldon's natural rival, as we know, it's Kripke. Or maybe Leslie, earlier on, but Kripke exists throughout the show right until the end as a theoretical physicist as well. So there are also these blackboards in the background, which reminds me of The Big Bang Theory, but interestingly, they don't appear to be, the traditional equations we used to see anymore. They look like just theory, people trying to make sense of what's happening. Like science has become irrelevant or something like that. To me, this might be a mystery that goes beyond physics, or it's a mystery that requires some physics knowledge to overcome, which is where Kripke would come in, because in the trailer, he seems to be, at some point, or in some timeline, in some universe, he is working on their side. I also wonder if somehow geology plays a part in this, because Sheldon always joked that geology wasn't a real science, as you probably remember, and Bert, who is going to be one of the main characters, he is a geologist. So either they're going to continue that joke and maybe his expertise just never comes in handy, or there will be maybe one episode where the geology knowledge actually becomes crucial. I hope they don't miss this opportunity, because it's obviously got some comedic potential, and it's also a nice link back to The Big Bang Theory for the fans. I think he says, "My childhood has led me to this moment." And I think that's a cool line, and paired with the comic book page, it's definitely deliberate. And we even see this line in the comic book. Leonard, Sheldon, and Howard constructed a very state quantum entanglement device. Why is Raj not there? That's what I want to know. Is that some kind of clue? Am I missing something? What I do know is that in The Big Bang Theory, if you remember, Sheldon and Leonard and Howard, and not Raj, worked on a classified quantum gyroscope project. If you remember that, funded by the US Air Force. It could be to do with that, maybe. From what I've heard, none of the main cast are joining the project, and that's hugely disappointing. It would have been cool to maybe have seen Stuart trying to find Sheldon and Leonard, or Howard or whoever in order to fix the problem. I get it though, like it's cool that minor characters are getting the spotlight for a change, although I have heard a rumour that Ian Armitage might be on the show. I don't think that's confirmed at this point, but maybe they have to go back in time to understand something from Sheldon's past. Who knows? I mean, that would be awesome. And we also see older aesthetics, if you remember. This shot here, it looks like 1950s or 60s style clothing or something. You know, there's older cars, and actually I've just remembered there were some dates on that whiteboard. What were they? Let's rewind. There we go, 1958 to 66. So, okay, that could be right then. I'm just wondering if there is significance to that. Stuart would have been born in the 1970s, so I don't think it's something to do with his past. But I'm curious about this, because not only are we travelling to different universes, we appear to be travelling in time as well. Which means that obviously something has gone wrong with time as well as space. Oh, you know what would be awesome? If there was some kind of significance to Sheldon's spot, and that becomes somehow important in the story. I don't think they're going to do that, but that would be cool. I mean, he refers to it as his 0000. Since this catastrophe was caused by Sheldon and the others, it makes sense that they need to understand them possibly a bit more in order to solve the problem. It's obviously going to be very hard for me as a Big Bang Theory fan to separate this new show from the old, as you can probably tell. I genuinely cannot think of another sitcom spin-off that looks remotely like this. It's not just more Big Bang. I mean, they've gone in a completely different direction. It makes it interesting to me, but also very risky. And I feel like this could either completely take off or completely fail, depending on what happens over the next couple of months. I think fans are shocked because nobody expected this level of ambition. From the trailer, it looks like they've put a lot of money into this. I'm sure it's going to be great, but it definitely doesn't feel safe. It feels very unpredictable, which could be, I mean, now that I'm saying it out loud, it sounds like a good thing. I still honestly have no idea how this is going to perform. For the first time in years, though, I can say I'm actually genuinely excited for a spin-off. A lot of the time, a spin-off comes out and I don't think it's going to be any good, and then I watch it and it is good. And this time, I'm actually excited for this. Is it going to be the other way around? Am I going to watch it and be disappointed? I don't think so. So far, I think it's going to be great. Like I said, it's going to be its own thing. They keep reminding us that this is a Big Bang Theory spin-off. I think the only thing that this is going to have in common with the Big Bang Theory is 4 of the characters. I'm guessing, but we'll see what happens. Thank you for watching, guys. If you like this video, a thumbs up goes a long way, and I'd be thrilled to hear your thoughts on this. Give me your most outrageous theory. I'd like to read it. I'm planning to cover Stuart Fails to Save the Universe when it comes out, so if you're interested in that, subscribe if you haven't already. I usually do TV show character analyses, and actually I'll probably be doing character analyses and breakdowns of these 4 main characters, Stuart, Denise, Bert and Kripke. It's going to be fun. A quick shout out to my supporters on Patreon. That's Laura Starr, Greg Whitworth, Beverly, Casey, Daniel, Carlos Diaz and Keegan Smith. If you're interested in becoming a patron, the link is in the description, and if you're interested, you can follow me on Instagram for updates. You know, Instagram's just a bit easier for me to get updates and behind the scenes things out there more regularly. That's all I have for you today. If you've not seen the Avatar video from last week, that's a good one if you want to check that out. And I'll be back next week for a good old character analysis. So see you then and have a good week. Bye.